Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a full recap, summary, and timeline for James Cameron's Avatar franchise. Everything you need to know before Avatar Fire and Ash, including the history of Pandora and Earth in this cinematic franchise. We're really making this video for those planning to watch Fire and Ash this holiday season and looking at the 2009 and 2022 movies on Disney Plus and thinking, woof, I don't have time to rewatch those. And for those of you who want all your Avatar info in one place outside of our two rewatch breakdowns that we're doing on this channel. So this video also has you covered with all the extended versions of these movies and interconnected media that technically is canon, including like the 2015 Cirque du Soleil stage show, Torek the First Flight, yeah, it counts, and the 2023 game Avatar Frontiers of Pandora by Ubisoft, and the tie-in comic series, and all the comics that are considered canon according to Joshua Izzo, who oversees the Avatar IP for James Cameron's production company Lightstorm. Izzo authored the 2022 book, The World of Avatar, A Visual Exploration, that was also a reference for this video. So James Cameron's Avatar franchise centers around Pandora, a moon in the orbit of the gas giant of Polyphemus, a moon that harbors a rich, diverse environment, including sentient species, the Na'vi, and their connection with all the life on this planet through the mystical Eywa, threatened by the plundering efforts led by the RDA of Earth in the late 22nd century. As we get to know humans in the Avatar program, including Jake Sully bonding with the Na'vi to help them resist. But the history of Pandora and what's happening back on Earth are also pretty important to know. So we're gonna go into that, but if you want to skip to just the recap of the first Avatar film and the one that comes after it, skip to this time. Let's begin 12 million years ago. The Na'vi at this point have evolved on Pandora to reach an evolutionary plateau due to a perfect natural balance with Eywa and no further necessary technological development. The Na'vi of Pandora do not need to use any kind of metal weapons due to the gravitational anomalies and just the fact that Eywa provides everything else they need, with a complex neural network far beyond what humans have on Earth. By comparison to this point in history, humans of Earth only evolved 300,000 years ago as hunter-gatherers, and then arguably didn't even emerge into organized civilizations until 6,000 or 7,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia. So 12 million years ago versus a tiny percentage of that 7,000 years ago, bringing us to thousands of years ago on Pandora, the life of Taronyu, the first Na'vi to ride a Banshee, which is explored in the Cirque du Soleil show. Yes, it is canon. Taronyu invented the Banshee catcher that is still used by the Na'vi today. He earned the first title of Ikran Makto, or Banshee Rider. Then 16,000 BCE, the first songs of the Na'vi commence. They document the Na'vi's relationship with Eywa and the preservation of the Omaticaya home tree. Then 837 BC, or 3,000 years before the first Avatar film, the first Torek Makto emerges. The great hero of Hanutuan, the founder of the Turong clan, answers the call of Entu when the Tree of Souls was threatened by a volcano that he and others are able to stop by releasing some boulders that release some floodwater. We learn about this guy in Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Solok's Journey, the comic series. This guy rode the first shadow, the Torek, the winged apex predator of Pandora. Then jumping way ahead to the early 21st century AD, the Resources Development Administration, RDA, is formed in Silicon Valley, California. This is according to James Cameron's Avatar, an activist survival guide. Also around this time, maglev trains are going into operation on Earth, and the Bengal tiger has gone extinct, while combat exoskeletons are beginning to be used. Astronomers have discovered a planet that they first called Crius, later renamed Polyphemus, and shortly thereafter, one of its moons, Pandora. This would be sometime between the year 2050 and 2077. Around this time, in the late 21st century and early 22nd century, Earth is hit by several conflicts involving rogue governments and terrorist factions. One is a conflict in Nigeria that Miles Quaritch serves in. 2084, the first human rovers arrived to Pandora to investigate its rainforest, and by 2119, mass human colonization of Pandora has begun. 2124, Dr. Grace Augustine has arrived to Pandora and is working with the Pandoran Research Foundation. By this time, the Avatar Link technology was being developed. 2129, back on Earth, the Anthropocene extinction has begun to surge. Most of Earth's ecology has gone extinct or is significantly reduced. This same year, the SecOps is founded, the private military of the RDA using Marine Corps culture. 2136, Neytiri is born in the Omaticaya clan, and Dr. Grace receives an avatar. It's actually believed that the first successful Na'vi avatar link is in the year 2138. So in 2138, which is explored in the Frontiers of Pandora game, the Na'vi Mokasa gives up the location of the Sarentu clan to the RDA, so the RDA sends the ambassador program to abduct Na'vi children to indoctrinate them in human culture, while SecOps massacres all the adults. They try to cover it up with chemicals and end up creating the Yava, the toxic green fog that's found on parts of Pandora. This game is pretty wild and has a bunch of great tie-in comic series, some of which we'll be talking about in this video. In the 2140s, back on Earth, a deep sea drilling accident causes a massive tsunami that swallows a huge part of the Pacific coastline. In the years that follow, from 2143 to 2148, a massive world war has consumed Earth, and Jake Sully is deployed in part of that world war to Venezuela and gets a spinal injury that paralyzes him. 2142, back on Pandora, Grace begins teaching children of the Omaticaya clan at a schoolhouse. Grace and Neytiri's mother Moat help cure the clan of a disease using the flower of the Sayakalan. 2148, Jake's twin brother, the scientist Tom Sully, is mugged and killed. Jake picks a fight in a bar and is thrown out, and then shortly after recruited by the RDA for the Avatar program to take his brother's place. Jake departs Earth on the ISV Venture Star, and while Jake and the others on the crew are in cryosleep for 6 years, in the 2050s on Pandora, what's known as the First Pandoran War is raging between the Na'vi and the Sekops of the RDA. The Na'vi children of Grace's schoolhouse are attacked. Grace saves most of them, but Neytiri's older sister, Silwanine, is killed. 2154, the events of the first Avatar film take place. Jake Sully arrives to Pandora at the Hell's Gate base along with Norm Spellman, and they meet Grace. Jake and Norm take their avatars out for the first time. Trudy takes Grace, Jake, Norm, and Lyle Wainfleet on a tour of Pandora's forests, where Jake is chased by a Thanator and meets Neytiri, who, following some signs from some wood sprites, takes Jake back to the Omaticaya clan. Sute and his trainees object to this, but Neytiri's father, Etukan, and the elders let Jake stay. Quaritch briefs Jake on his mission to remove the Omaticaya from Home Tree so that the RDA, led by Selfridge, can drill underneath it for a large deposit of unobtainium. After Dr. Max Patel overhears Jake describing Home Tree to the Marines, Grace moves the Avatar program away from Hell's Gate to the Hallelujah Mountains, where the magnetic fields of Pandora that allow gravitational anomalies like these floating rocks also screws with the RDA navigation equipment. Meanwhile, Jake in his Avatar form learns about Pandoran ecology with Neytiri, and he learns how to use a bow, how to ride a dire horse, he kills a hexapede, and becomes what's known as a Taronyu, a hunter. Now, during this time, we actually learn more about what Sute is going through from the comic series Avatar Sute's Path, and how he often communes with Neytiri's sister Silwanine at the Tree of Voices. But in the movie, we see how Jake tames a banshee and becomes an Ikran Makto, and Neytiri takes Jake to the Tree of Souls, where for a moment he faces a great Torek and learns about Neytiri's grandfather's grandfather, who was the 5th Torek Makto. Jake is accepted into the clan, and he and Neytiri hook up at the Tree of Voices. But the next morning, wow, RDA bulldozers level the area, and after Jake attacks this bulldozer, he, Grace, and Norm get imprisoned by Quaritch. And when the Omaticaya retaliate against the bulldozers, Selfridge orders Home Tree destroyed. In the attack, Etukan dies, and Sute succeeds him as the clan leader. Jake, Norm, Grace, Trudy, and Max escape confinement, and as they escape, Quaritch shoots Grace. She ends up succumbing to her wounds and dies, but her spirit joins with Awa. So now the Omaticaya clan are rallying at the Tree of Souls, which is going to be the RDA's next target. They all hate Jake, but he ends up proving himself to the Omaticaya by taming the Torek, becoming the legendary Torek Makto. Jake uses this status to unite the Omaticaya clan with other clans like the Olangi, the Teirangi, and the Turong. So Sekops begins their assault on the Tree of Souls, but there's a massive aerial battle through the Hallelujah Mountains. In this battle, Trudy dies, Sute dies, Lyle Wainfleet dies, and we learn later how a pilot named Paz Socorro dies. She's a pilot whom Quaritch hooked up with to make Spider. Neytiri plugs Quaritch with an arrow, killing him, saving my Jake in his link pod. So having won this battle, the Na'vi force most of the humans at Hell's Gate to get the hell off of Pandora. Jake's consciousness is permanently transferred into his avatar by passing through the Eye of Awa. Today's video is sponsored by Raycon. I'm always listening to something. Could be music, could be a podcast, but I bring some kind of soundtrack with me wherever I go. If I'm at a coffee shop or walking around the neighborhood, I don't want what I'm listening to cancel out the world around me. That's the exact situation where I like to use my Raycon Essential Open earbuds. I love that I can play my music and still hear what's going on around me. And right now, they're up to 20% off for the holidays, so definitely grab them while you can. Raycon's Essential Open earbuds make it easy to switch between your phone and laptop without repairing them every time. Plus, they're ultra light with a flexible ear hook that adapts to any ear for all-day comfort and awareness. And the battery life is great. You get 8 hours of playtime and 36 hours of battery with the charging case. I charge them maybe once a week. Raycon gives you a premium performance without the premium price tag. Their quality rivals the big audio brands, but at half the cost. Over 3 million customers already love their Raycons, and all Raycons come with a 30-day happiness guarantee. The Essential Open earbuds are here for the holiday season, and they're selling fast. Raycon audio products are up to 20% off this holiday season. Just click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/newrockstarsopen to save on Raycon audio products site-wide. Order by December 15th to guarantee delivery by Christmas because great gifts shouldn't show up late. Jake's story is followed in the 2021 comic Avatar: The Next Shadow as he struggles to bridge the conflicts in the Omaticaya clan as Sute's brothers attempt to overthrow Jake as clan leader, and he ends up proving himself by coming out of a poison-induced coma thanks to the power of Eywa. We're now in the year 2155. We're moving on into the history explored in 2022's Avatar: The Way of Water film, but also in the connected graphic novel series, also released in 2022, Avatar: The High Ground. So at this point, Jake and Neytiri have begun creating a family. Their eldest son, Neteyam, is born. We see this in the opening minutes of Avatar: The Way of Water. But also sometime around this point, Kiri is born. Kiri is a biological daughter of Grace's avatar, immaculately conceived by Eywa in that body, and this child ends up possessing the personality and the spirit of Grace, as well as a strong connection to Eywa. Jake and Neytiri raised Kiri as a daughter figure. In 2056, Loak is born, that's a second son of the family, and a focal figure in the forthcoming Avatar Fire and Ash. 2163, Jake and Neytiri's natural daughter Tuktiri is born, or Tuk. During this time, humanity back on Earth is facing a real threat of extinction due to environmental collapse, and they now plan to make Pandora the new home of the human species. 2168, back on Pandora, the Sully family also takes on Spider, Miles Socorro, the human son of Miles Quaritch and Paz Socorro, left behind at Hell's Gate and living with the Sullys as one of their own. One night while on a date, Jake and Neytiri see RDA ISVs arrive in the upper atmosphere and cause massive fires all over the rainforest. So around here is where the events of Avatar: The High Ground begin. This story was based on a 130-page original screenplay written by James Cameron, originally planned to be the second film of the franchise, but when James Cameron wanted the second film to focus more on the Metkayina clan, he jettisoned the story to touch on parts of it in the opening act of The Way of Water, and then handed the rest of the story off to writer Sherry L. Smith to publish as the High Ground graphic novel series. So in the High Ground story, we get to know the Sully kids more, and we see how the Na'vi confront Francis Ardmore on the ISV Venture Star. They engage in battle on that ship, and it ends with the RDA retaking Hell's Gate and going on the offensive against the Na'vi all over Pandora. This storyline would be continued in the current Avatar: The Gap Year Tipping Point comic series. This whole era of time is all known as the Second Pandoran War, a war that we're still in during Avatar Fire and Ash. So we're now in the year 2170. Most of Avatar Fire and Ash takes place in this year. The RDA now have a coastal installation called Bridgehead City. A new ISV arrives with Project Phoenix's Recom Squad, Recombinants, consisting of Quaritch, resurrected as an avatar, along with 11 other of his troopers after they uploaded backups of their memories on drives before the big battle in the first film. This also includes old Lyle Wainfleet. General Ardmore orders them to hunt down Jake and his family, and Quaritch realizes he's got a son. Jake and his family raid a maglev train, and Loak disobeys his father, nearly getting his big brother Neteyam killed. At this point, the Omaticaya clan have joined the human resistance in high camp up in the Hallelujah Mountains, hidden from the RDA. So Quaritch is searching for the Sully family and ends up finding them, and after a fight with the Recoms, Spider is abducted by Quaritch and taken back to base. Now, fearing for the safety of their family, Jake and Neytiri decide to take their family away from the Omaticaya clan and retreat to the seaside village of Awa'atlu, the coral reef island and home to the Metkayina clan, led by Tonowari and his pregnant partner Ronal. Their son is Aonung, and their daughter is Soraya, who befriends Loak. The kids of both families bond, and we see the physiological differences between Na'vi who have adapted for a water climate versus a forest climate. The Sully family bonds with sea creatures like the elu and the skimwings. We also learn about the great whales, the Tolkun, which the RDA, led by Captain Mick Scoresby, is hunting for the brain fluid called Emrita, which can stop the aging process in humans. Though marine biologist Dr. Ian Garvin has some moral qualms over all this. Loak bonds with an outcast Tolkun named Payakan that fought back at one point. Kiri takes to the Way of Water pretty quickly and tries to connect with the underwater Tree of Souls, but has such a powerful connection to Eywa that she gets overloaded and has a seizure, which isn't a good thing to have underwater. Quaritch, with Spider in tow, and his recoms are searching for Jake, burning village after village, including the Ta'ainu clan. When the kids try to stop the RDA fleet from whale hunting, a fleet that includes Scoresby's Sea Dragon and various other gunships, as well as the Mako subs and crab suits, the adults have to come to their aid, along with good old Payakan. Kiri uses her Eywa powers to crush many of the human forces. Scoresby loses his arm, but he survives. Quaritch joins the fray and takes Kiri and Tuk hostage. Loak and Neteyam rescue Spider, but in the escape from this rescue, Neteyam is shot and killed by Lyle. So the eldest son of this family dies in the arms of the Sully family. Enraged by Neteyam's death, Jake and Neytiri attack the RDA crew crew seeking to rescue Kiri and Took. After freeing Took, Jake finds Quaritch holding Kiri hostage, but Quaritch releases her when Neytiri threatens to kill Spider. They all get trapped inside of a sinking vessel. After a tense duel, Jake strangles Quaritch unconscious and is rescued by Loak and Payakan, while Kiri is able to save Neytiri and Took, using some glowing sea creatures to light their way. But Spider saves his daddy Quaritch from drowning, but he rejects his father and rejoins Jake's family. And Neytiri isn't too happy to have this kid with them anymore. After Neteyam's funeral, Jake wants to leave, but Tonowari declares Jake's family part of the clan and welcomes them to stay. Jake's family accepts their new lives at sea, but vows to continue their struggle against the RDA. And that's where we are with Avatar Fire and Ash. It's going to take place 1 year later, around 2171. This movie was shot at the same time as The Way of Water, so it's really going to be like a part 2 of the story. Based on trailers, we know that Quaritch will form an alliance with Mengquan clan, the Ash people, led by Varang, as Quaritch continues to hunt the Sully family and reunite with his son Spider. We also know from trailers that something's going to happen where Spider's lungs are healed by Eywa in some way to make him capable of breathing Pandora's air, which sets up a major conflict, considering if that could be re-engineered, it would make it really easy for all humans of that shitty planet Earth to colonize this wonderful planet. So really the biggest mystery we're left wondering about is Eywa. What is Kiri's connection to this divine sentience? What is this divine sentience? What is Eywa's plan for all of these characters? Did Eywa want humans and Na'vi to meet? Or is Eywa only ultimately protecting the creatures of Pandora and maybe other nearby moons from what this human virus is bringing? That is a recap of everything you need to know going into Avatar Fire and Ash. For more information on how these first 2 movies were made, check out our breakdown videos on those 2 movies, the second of which is coming this weekend. Comment down below with your thoughts, and a special thanks to one of our YouTube members, Bro, for supporting us at the executive producer level. Big thanks to Studio Tech Brian Kim, New Rockstars editors Joshua Stephen Hurd and Abby Freel, and supporting editors Songvit and Ed Vilderman for all their work on this video. Follow me at EA Voss, subscribe to all channels on the New Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.